Almost hit the wrong button there. Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I see we got a few people already joining in. Bunch of likes before we even get started. That's awesome. Thank you for that encouragement, folks. We sure do appreciate it. How's everyone doing this week? Go ahead and bring up the live stream so I can see the comments here. And I want to ask that anybody who has questions, this is a question and answer session. So this is what we're looking for, is to see if you have any questions about anything. And just in case, I've got a bunch of questions prepared this time, so we don't get off on the wrong track here. Let's see, I'm going to bring up the YouTube feed. There we go. I don't want to have that repeating on there. Wait a minute, let's turn the volume. There we go. Get it back to live. All right. Jeff Schallmeyer's here. Good to see you, Jeff. Papa Carnivore. Hello. Good to see you too. Leave the kids, leave them kids alone. I think that's a Pink Floyd thing. Just happened to see the live pop-up. I never catch things on time. Well, I'm glad you're here. Steaks are better than cakes. Absolutely, Jeff. Is it Katie? Yes, it is Katie. This is my beautiful wife, Katie. I am so thankful for her. Luna is here from San Antonio, Texas. Awesome. Let's see. We got a few more joining in. Carnivore Brothers are here. This is Ashley. Good to see you, Ashley. Living to Learn is here. Blessings to you as well. Thank you so much. We're thankful for any blessings. So, like I said, we're looking for questions. So if you guys do have any questions, please, when you type them in the chat, start with 3 large letter Q's. That way it lets me see them easier as I'm scrolling through. And that way we can find them, because a lot of times people are talking to each other in the chat, and I'm trying to make sure I'm finding your questions because I don't want to miss anybody. And of course, if you have a question that you want to be brought right to the top of the list, you can always do what's called a super chat. And that helps us out too. So thank you very much, because we do like to spend the time to do this to be able to help anybody we can, as this diet has changed my life. And it's beginning to change Katie's life too, I think. So it's been wonderful. Of course, I've been doing it for 4 years. You've been doing it what now? A little over 2 months?
Several months, yeah.
Several months? Yeah. Surprisingly, Papa Carnivore, my daughter's name is Katie also, from my first marriage. She goes by Scarlett because that's her middle name. And as Ashley and Rhett, the Carnivore Brothers, can understand, yes, she got a Gone with the Wind name. I see. Yep. Leave them kids alone. Yes, that's very good. Definitely need to see that they're being taught the right things and not programmed. All right, here we got our first question from Papa Carnivore. What is your best advice for starting carnivore for newbies? Go cold turkey or ease in with keto or other? Well, Papa Carnivore, I think that probably has the most important thing is what you were eating before. A lot of people come to this that maybe if they were vegan or vegetarian or something like that. Of course, she wants to get out right now. Our cat has been acting so crazy. She's just got the friskies today. Been parkouring all over the house, and now she wants to get out. Normally, she wants to be wherever Katie is, so that's awesome. But anyway, getting back to that, you know, a lot of folks that are eating a lot of oxalates and things like that, it's probably best to do a slower transition. I remember Sally Norton talking about this when it comes to oxalate dumping, because if you're eating a lot of foods that are high in oxalates and you switch to a carnivore diet, those oxalates are going to start to come out, and they come out inside your body. They come out through your skin. I've heard about people having them come out in their eyeballs and all kind of things where these oxalates start to come out. So that's one factor. And then, of course, if you're not used to eating fat, it might take a little bit of a transition to getting used to eating fat, but I don't know that you necessarily need to go keto for that. But I also find that it's easier for some people to make the transition just because it's such a big change. Now it depends on also the need for the change. I know when I started, I absolutely needed to change something immediately because I was going downhill fast, and the doctors didn't have any answers for my gut pain issues. I had leaky gut, which is, something they don't even diagnose, so they didn't have any answers. They didn't offer any help. And I was at the end of my rope, like some of the people I've interviewed on my channel were at the end of their rope. And they started straightless like I did, went straight into hardcore lion diet. And I haven't had any problems doing that, at least none that I've been able to tell. I have watched some other of the carnivore doctors and some of the professors out there, like Bart K. He talks about it's important to be able to make a transition. So, I mean, there's mixed information out there about that. But I really think it's going to come down to individual need and preference, and also what you were eating before is going to be a big part of it. Mike Correa, thank you for being here. All right, Leave Them Kids Alone has a question. Do you cook differently for your kids? I'm not sure how to manage the family. That is a good question. You want to answer that one?
So for the kids, so when we cook now, because I'm joining in with Dante on this endeavor, Dante will usually cook for me or I'll cook for him. We kind of cook for each other. But when dinner time comes around or breakfast, we stick to basics. Eggs and bacon for breakfast for the kids, along with us. Well, not him. Sometimes he has eggs, but not all the time. For me, I do. I have eggs consist of like 50% of my diet, if not maybe more than that. So the kids get eggs and bacon for breakfast, no toast, no cereal. We don't give them any oats or grain in the morning. They get pure protein. At lunchtime, I put some like peanut butter crackers in their bag, and I give them a drink, like a sweet tea or an unsweet tea or water. I just give them a couple little snacks to get them through. And then at dinner time, when they get home, I make sure they have a large portion of meat, small portion of veggies, and small portion of starch. And it's usually a potato or rice, or what else? Oh, like a peanut butter squash, or what else?
Peanut butter squash?
Oh, peanut butter squash?
Acorn squash.
Yes, peanut butter and squashes. A squash type variety. I do not like yellow squash. So I do give them small portions of the veggies, small portion of the starch, and then I give them a large portion of meat. Like tonight, they're having a whole chicken breast, baked chicken breast with a small portion of roasted potatoes I made, and then a small portion of green beans. Now, of course, my kids are hungry. I'm going to let them have seconds. But I always try to make more meat than I do the rest of it on their plate, so that I tell them to finish the meat, right? Finish the meat, and then if you're still hungry, you can get a second plate. But I'm just trying to stick to high protein, nothing fried, and just doing the best I can.
It kind of goes back to that question about transitioning in a way, because
Whole foods, I guess,
they're
is the right way to say
transitioning
it.
from, if you go back and watch my first video, 125 days on lion diet, they're transitioning from basically pure garbage that they just got used to, that we got used to for the years before I started doing this. And they're not necessarily ready to make that change. But at the same time, we get to buy the food. So, and now that my older son is working, he gets to buy his own food. So sometimes he buys things that we don't like, but we're doing our best to keep them off of the things that are horrible for them. And, thankfully they're making some changes in the food that hopefully are going to get some of the poisonous stuff that's so bad out of there, because it's really hard for a lot of younger people to be able to make a transition like this, especially if they do go to school, because it's hard to bring meats that they can reheat and stuff like that. But God bless those people who's, if the kids want to go carnivore, we're going to support them. We're definitely going to encourage it and do it. And I've noticed that Levi, the younger one, he tends to eat the meat and then leaves a lot of the vegetables sometimes. So he's fine passing on the vegetables a lot too. And I'm glad to see that, because I like seeing him on a diet that's going to take care of him good. But even though I can't eat vegetables and I don't think it's something that you need, it's a heck of a lot better than what they were eating before when they were eating cereal and
Mm-hmm.
donuts and all that other kind of stuff for breakfast. So I mean that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge difference. But managing the family is always tough, especially when you got folks who keep it in their head that like maybe the adults in the family that the uh, the health foods that you get from the store are actually healthy, and they can't help but think, oh, it said zero carb, it said zero this, it said keto friendly or whatever, and I'm like, those things are just other products like all those other products you buy in the boxes. Turn it around, get to be an ingredients inspector. Don't read the front of the package. Really, I mean, if you can avoid it, don't buy anything that comes in a package. But if you have to, turn it around and look at the ingredients. If it's got more than 3 ingredients and you can't pronounce one of them, don't eat it. That would be a good place to start when it comes to helping family transition. But it's just tough for people to make change like this. I didn't find it that difficult, but that's because it was my last lifeline. When some people don't feel like they're on their last leg or they don't really believe this is the answer, it's really hard to get them on board. So we just encourage as healthy of eating as we can, and then if they want to go carnivore, we're ready to support them in that. Absolutely.
And I think it's also just about in teaching them good habits or choices. So let's say they are out and about and they, that, oh, I gotta get something to eat. I know that at Taco Bell, you can get steak bites in a cup. They will serve you $2, a little cup of steak bites. Did you know this?
No.
I found out because I was hungry. So we were going through the drive-thru and I said, I know they have a steak burrito. So I said, can I just have some steak in a bowl? And they said, sure. $2, steak in a bowl. It got me through the next 3 hours. So there are options out there if you have to make a decision like that. You have to navigate and find the little things that you could do. I know that Arby's now has brisket in a bowl or cup that you can get now. So there's options out there. No, it's not going to be the best meat or the best, grass fed, grass finished, and all this, but it's definitely a better option than getting the Big Mac with all the extras on it. So, just little ways to navigate, teaching them that you can do that. You can order a la carte, even at fast food places if necessary.
I personally try to avoid all the fast food options or any restaurant options if I can, but it's kind of hard to do that in society and to be able to blend with people. So,
And travel.
sometimes you got to make adjustments. Oh, and definitely travel. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
makes it tough sometimes.
Dante used to eat at Hardee's. When you first started low carb again, before you found carnivore, you used to go to Hardee's and get 2 patties with bacon. You get what was it? The bacon burger with no bread.
It was a low carb burger, is what they
Yeah,
called it.
because it just had no bread. It had no
Right.
bun.
It was wrapped in lettuce and
Mm-hmm.
still had tomato and ketchup and mayonnaise and all that stuff. But eventually I stopped having that. And eventually it came back in too because it just was like I wasn't doing enough to make a difference. So I just said, why not? I'll just eat. This was before carnivore. I'll just eat it with the ketchup and be happy. But it it didn't make me happy in the long run. Going carnivore is what changed everything. Let's see. Jonah Gates has a question here. A challenging aspect of lion diet is finding the all new substitutions of what food used to mean to you.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, we form these strong bonds to food. Have you both experienced this?
I know I've talked about it in a previous live stream. It may have been our second or third, where I opened up about how I realized once Dante started the carnivore lion diet, how I didn't know that food had a serious emotional attachment for him. And we found out at a Whataburger in Tallahassee. That's how I found out. Absolutely for Dante, for me a little bit. Not as much as it was for Dante, but I think I've been on the slow process of this for a while now because of because of Dante's drastic change in health condition and him getting better, I've known it's real the whole time, but I'm just now jumping on board to living that experience with him. So, but I really, my addiction to it gets me now, especially during once a month. I really want that chocolate ice cream.
So you haven't had any chocolate ice cream this week, so that was good.
Mm-hmm. So it for me, it's that pull to the sensation and the pleasure of having it. So I guess that's an addiction. But for me, it's getting easier, and eggs are my saving grace.
You know, I want to expand a little bit on that Whataburger situation, because I've had so many people that responded to that, because I mentioned that in the very first video I ever made, 125 days on lion diet, and people didn't understand, I guess, because, you know, I didn't know there was a carnivore community out there, and apparently they were used to going to places like Whataburger and just ordering the patties. But for me, going to Whataburger, because I lived in Georgia, but I lived in Texas for a while, where Whataburger is from. And when they opened up a Whataburger in Tallahassee, Florida, which was like a 2-hour drive from where I was in Georgia, there were times, even before I met Katie, I would drive all the way to Tallahassee just to get a Whataburger. And it was a whole experience. You know, it was the bun, it was the lettuce, it was the mayonnaise, it was the mustard. It was just, and then they had their different flavors and all that stuff. So there was an emotional sense to it. And then when I went through that drive-through line back when I started carnivore, and Katie wasn't doing anything like that, and she loved her Whataburger, I said, well, I'm not going to deprive her of something she likes because I'm, you know, doing this. So we went through the line. But man, the idea of going to one and not getting that experience that I was used to, just, I mean, it literally had me in tears. I thought, I want to join in on this. So absolutely, the emotional side can be tough. I think, Katie, you had a similar experience as this. When I was a kid, I used to argue with my mom about not wanting to eat the vegetables. I only wanted to eat the meat, fish, and eggs.
Yeah, when I was little, I would eat the meat first. I craved meat. I remember going out to dinner with my mom when I was really young. I had been about 6 or 7, and she ordered a steak, and she got up to use the bathroom. When she came back, all the fat off the steak was gone. I inhaled it. I constantly craved fat. Then I found out about 9 or 10, I had an iron deficiency, and I was seriously depleted in it. So I had to take large, giant horse iron pills, pretty high amounts, just to sustain my body. And I've always had a love for meat. I would eat veggies too. I'd eat anything that was on the plate. I ate good food. We didn't have a lot of junk food growing up. So, but yeah, I loved it. And that's what I want to tell my kids now. Eat your meat. You're not getting any pudding, but eat your meat.
Another Pink Floyd reference. All right. All right, let's see. Bill Daly has a question. Hi, Dante and Katie. Question. Here in the UK, beef, especially ribeye, is so expensive. Could you do a carnivore diet eating pork chops, chicken, and bacon, or do you have to eat red meat? Of course you could do it eating chicken and pork chops and bacon. It's, you know, Katie's not limited like I am mostly to beef, but because that's what I mostly eat, that's what she gets a lot of, because I usually cook it or she'll cook it and we'll share it, because she knows that I have to eat beef or lamb. Lion diet has been important for me for my gut healing and overall well-being. So it's just a little different. And I've even had one of the questions I was going to cover was somebody asked, is the carnivore diet and the lion diet the same thing? I said, yes and no. Lion diet is a carnivore diet. It's just more restrictive than most carnivore diets. Lion diet is specifically ruminant meat, water, and salt as your elimination period. And then as you grow and your body starts to heal, you might find that you can add some other healthy meat options or animal-based options to your carnivore diet. I haven't been able to add very many. Butter is one that I've gone back and forth with, but lately butter seems to be fine. Ghee is another one that I just didn't like it, so I didn't really like ghee. But cheese is a no-no for me. I got to stay away from cheese altogether. Not to mention most cheese isn't really even cheese. But yes, absolutely. I mean, if hot dogs is what you have to do to afford to switch to a carnivore diet, then you do what you got to do. And I just try to be careful of the sugar content. You know, read the ingredients and stuff like that. Try to find the best you can, but you do what you can afford. I mean, we have to budget. I say we have to budget. We have to find it as cheap as we can. There's not really much of a budget. Everything is kind of chaos in that department. But I'm just thankful to God each and every time that I have the money to buy some food, and I give thanks over every meal I have because it's just it's grace to have it.
I eat a lot of eggs. Dante, we found Sam's Club right now had the cheapest price. What was it? 16 eggs. Dante, what was it? 16 eggs?
They're 18 packs at Sam's Club.
Yes.
Yeah, they have pasture raised, and they're only like $6 and some change, which is not much more than the store-bought eggs at Publix and Aldi and places like that.
So we bought a bundle of those, and that's going to be my breakfast. Perhaps like today, I came home today, I was so hungry, I was about ready to pass out. So I made, what was it, 6 eggs? Threw a lot of butter in there with the eggs, threw them in a bowl, and that was my fast food for the day.
And you had 4 eggs this morning, so.
And then when I work out on my workout nights, I come home, I am starving. If Dante doesn't have any leftover of his steak, I automatically make 7 to 8 eggs. They are my saving grace, and they're so good. So I definitely could do, if, you know, because he is lion diet, and I don't want to take away from his diet, and I enjoy the eggs, I will eat a large quantity of eggs. And pork chops, not bad. I did have one the other day. I found a good price on some bone-in pork chops, and I made those, and I had one, and it was tasty. It's not my favorite, but I will definitely eat it for a meal, you know, to get through. Absolutely. I don't know if I could eat it every day, but I can eat bacon every day. I can eat bacon and eggs I do eat bacon and eggs every day. Let me take that back. I do eat it every day. So
I'm glad to bring it to her. I love being able to get her started on the right foot. And the eggs is another thing that I've been able to reincorporate. It for a while. It didn't work, but I mean, now I'm 4 years and 4 months in, so I've had a little bit of body healing. There's been some changes there. So I've noticed that pasture raised eggs, I don't have any problem with. Even eating the white, I do prefer the yolk. And I think that's a good option for people who have any troubles with eating the egg whites, especially if they're not cooked enough, because there's some anti-nutrients in egg whites if they're still raw. And I know Katie likes to have her eggs soft cooked so that they're not really hard or anything like that, except for her hard-boiled eggs. She loves hard-boiled eggs. And I don't mind having hard-boiled eggs either as a snack or
you
something.
just don't eat a lot of them.
I don't eat a lot of them, probably for the same reason that you're eating more eggs, is that I'm trying to make sure there's plenty of eggs for you and plenty of eggs for the boys, because I want my boys to be able to get a start on their day that's much better than what they have been experiencing in their past.
And I did have some cheese this week. I usually don't eat cheese, but I had 2 scenarios where I was really hungry, and instead of buying something else, I bought I was able to get some cheese cubes, which I don't think are that great, but it sustained me long enough for 2 hours to get through to get home. So I was happy about that. But I don't eat cheese every day.
She doesn't need an abundance of cheese, and that's one of the problems I've seen with some carnivores that talk about eating cheese, is they make it like 30 or 40% of their diet. You know, that's going to cause problems. I don't care who you are, because cheese just backs you up, and some people have trouble digesting it altogether, so it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Somebody brought up a good point here. Learn all the words for sugar, because there are a lot.
Yep.
This is for people who are still buying anything in the package. I know it's hard to get away from a lot of the products out there, but be an ingredients inspector. Learn what those words mean. If it ends in OSE, it's probably a form of sugar. Glucose, dextrose, all of those oses out there.
Sucralose.
Well, even that is made from it. Sucralose, I think that is Splenda, but it's like a chemically changed version of sugar. But you know, the problem is also with sweeteners is they make you tend to still crave sweets. which if you're having difficulty overcoming cravings, that's one of the reasons I say get away from the sweeteners. I always wanted to be able to have my sweets. That was something that I loved when I was before this. And it's something I thought I would never give up. The idea of drinking water or a club soda was totally anathema to me before Lion Diet, but now I absolutely love it. Speaking of which, you got a good one there? Yeah, I've been hearing this thing. Let me bring up this one that Vadim Chernov brought up. Have you heard about sugar diet and how fast it works in shedding extra weight? I see some low-carb proponents singing high praises. I've heard about it, but it's not something that I've looked into. I found what works for me. I found what has worked for hundreds, if not thousands of people who have told me on my channel that carnivore has changed their lives and getting away from sugar and the addictive characteristics of sugar. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just because you can lose weight doing it doesn't mean it's the best way to go. I know Penn Jillette.
Vegans lose weight
fast, vegans lose weight.
They do not look healthy.
Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller, he lost a bunch of weight. And I thought, I wonder if he went carnivore. Nope, he went on a potato diet. All potatoes, no butter, no nothing. I'm like, boy, that sounds awful. I can't even imagine eating potatoes. I mean, back when the days when I did eat potatoes, it had to have sour cream and butter and pepper and salt and whatever else I could put on it. But he said that worked. So for some strange reason, I guess our bodies can do these things with mono diets. But the thing I notice about carnivore diet that makes them different is that, again, when you go back and you look at history, when you look at these old cave paintings and what people were hunting and eating in hunter-gatherer times, they weren't drawing pictures of salads and potatoes. They were drawing pictures of the animals they killed because they wanted to be able to teach each other, this is how you bring this thing down because this is what we eat.
I'll let you go ahead and do it because I know you want to pick some stuff out.
No, you're doing fine. If you want to pick something out, I'm very happy with that.
Well, I have something of a change in the last week that I noticed. So I'm usually out and about a lot during the day. And so I eat, a couple eggs for breakfast and some bacon, and then I go out. I usually don't get hungry till about 11 or 12. And I'm finding it easier to go a little bit longer periods of time without eating. I always carry my water with me, my Soleil water, my salt water with me. But before I would get really lightheaded and tired, like I need food now, where I feel like I'm able to go longer without eating, almost like I'm fasting, like I'm skipping a lunch, and then I go straight home about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I'm able to eat. It seems like it's getting easier to be hungry and not feel like, oh, I'm going to die if I don't eat something. Yeah. I feel like my endurance for being hungry is holding strong until I'm able to eat. And, part of that's my fault. I do try to, I need to meal prep a little bit better too, because I'll make hard-boiled eggs and then they're gone. Like, kids will eat them. Dante will all snack on them. They'll be gone in like 2 days. But that's okay. I want them to eat that stuff. It's just like I have to dedicate like a whole day like making so much to be able to last for the week or in between. But I just feel like I'm able to endure fasting better.
Well, going to that part before that, it's a lifestyle change. I mean, we grew up in a lifestyle of get it out of the box, stick it in the microwave, heat it up, and you're ready to eat. It's convenience is one of the things that's killing us in so many ways. And we feel like we need that convenience in our lives because there's always a constant struggle to be able to keep up with, whatever you got to keep up with. There was a time when the one person in the home could earn enough and take care of things. And this was in the majority. I'm not saying that it's not possible at all, but it's a heck of a lot harder. There was a time when having children meant we got more people to help around the house. Now having children is more expense in every way. I remember growing up and also thinking when it comes to the children aspect, if we got broken arms and legs, which happened because we were jumping ramps and all kind of stuff with no helmets on and doing all kind of crazy stuff. I don't know how we survived. But you know, somebody got a broken arm. It didn't break the bank. Now somebody gets a broken arm, and it's, you know, it's the down payment on a car. It's just unbelievable how things have changed in the overall aspect of cost. That doesn't have anything to do with the way food is sold. It has more to do with monetary policy. But I'm not going to get into all that right now. I got to tell you, I've been taking a lot of grief about anything I talk about that's even semi-political. So, you know, I would encourage anybody who watches those videos, if you find value in what I'm talking about, please share some positive comments, because I get a lot of negativity from people who are joining in because they're not carnivore and they're wanting to see what I'm saying about RFK Jr. or something like that. And the negativity does get to me sometimes. I really try not to let it, but it, you know, it can be overwhelming. I have a natural tendency toward a negative emotion, and I'm just thankful for those of you who come and watch these live streams and share your good stories and things like that, and those of you who support the channel in all the ways that you do. So thank you so much. Papa Carnivore pointed out something I wanted to bring up about that sugar thing too. Ultimately results in increased chance of heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, autoimmune disease, depression, anxiety, and more. Absolutely. I mean, at the very least, it's going to cause insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is going to cause problems throughout your organs, because insulin, though it is a wonderful hormone, it's designed to make things in your body grow. It makes your organs grow faster than they should. So you wind up getting to adulthood or later adulthood and having larger prostate, your liver's oversized, all of your organs can be blown up in size. It's one of the reasons why so many children are reaching puberty so much earlier these days than they were just 100 years ago, because their organs are growing faster than they should, and they're hitting that puberty stage unnaturally because of all the sugar in our food. And even when you're trying to watch the sugar on a standard American diet, it's in everything. And there's so many different forms of it. It's just, it causes all kind of problems. And I think all of these things he mentioned are related to that insulin resistance and that overgrowth of organs in your body and the way things are growing. Let's see, Bod has a question here. Good evening. I'm curious if you guys know if there are any spices, vegetables, which are least toxic for those of us that are primarily carnivore, but enjoy a bit more variety of flavor.
I would say anything you grow yourself, or your neighbor grows, or a friend or family grows, or a farmer market, a local market grows, where you know it's coming from. Because if it's coming from Walmart or even Publix or anything like that, it's going to have a large quantity of pesticides and toxins on it, most likely.
Not to mention a lot of those vegetables and fruits have been crossbred and genetically modified to be sweeter, to stay ripe longer, or ripe looking longer, not actually ripe longer, so that they can sell them more. And they've really, and there's just the fact that you can buy this stuff year round ought to tell you a lot, because it doesn't grow year round. And when you ship it from around the world, it shouldn't last naturally the way that they're shipping it, but they're using things, they spray them with things that allow them to stay shelf steady longer. And those things they can't be good for us. Let's just put it that way.
And part of it's regulation too. They're like regulated to add this stuff and spray these chemicals and use these products. It's by design. So if you can do like your own yearly garden, or if you have a little greenhouse and you can grow certain stuff throughout the year, I'm all about whole foods. If that's what you can do, then that's what you can do to be as healthy as you can be for you and your family. Obviously, high protein, high meat is the best, but I would never criticize or degrade anybody or think less of somebody if, you know, they wanted to grow stuff in their yard to enjoy seasonally or from time to time, or however you want to do it. Because I follow a lot of gardeners. I have a lot of fun people I watch that grow food forest. Because I would love my property. I started that out here trying to grow food forest. Everything I planted had to have a purpose, had to have a medicinal purpose or edible or some type of use. That's what I wanted. I wanted to try to do primarily just southeastern United States plants that grow naturally here, and I wanted to keep it going and have a butterfly garden and all the pretty stuff.
Loves her birds.
Yeah, I love my creatures. So, but yeah, I would just say that's going to be the healthiest choice for you. So,
and then when it comes to things like spices and stuff like that, again, that's more. This is one of the problems I run into a lot because I have to be on such a strict version of carnivore. I am not saying that my version of carnivore is for everybody. I think there's a lot of people out there that will greatly benefit from Lion Diet who won't know it until they try it. But at the same time, I've seen so many other people that have been able to go on a carnivore or even a carnivore-ish diet and have tremendous changes in their lives. Those of you who watched my video years ago where I met with Miles Moore over at Big Mo Cattle. Now, back then I knew him as Miles. I didn't realize that was his middle name, but his first name is Jeff. And Jeff, when I met him, big old gut, you know, the whole thing. And the reason he started ranching the way he did and raising his animals so cleanly and without using any chemicals or pesticides or any type of medicines unless they just absolutely needed it, which they don't because he feeds them properly and he moves them around from paddock to paddock at least once a day, if not twice a day. They don't return to the same paddock for 45 days. I mean, it takes effort to raise the animals the way he does. But he did that when his wife got cancer, and he wanted to make sure that he had the right food for his family. And, you know, but he was still eating a lot of the other sides and things. But he went carnivore, and he's lost over 100 pounds. And he even says that occasionally he'll get off, but he gets right back on because he knows that that's the best way to go, and that's what makes him feel good. So, you know, whatever it takes to get you started or to get you on your path. If the seasoning isn't hurting you, I say it's no big deal.
Definitely look for seasonings. Look at the ingredients, I would say, because I like pepper. I still like to enjoy my pepper. I just make sure there's nothing funky in it. No weird seed oils or no weird stuff it's coated with.
Yeah, she grinds peppercorns. She doesn't just get like store-bought pepper, because anytime they process it for you, sometimes they use anti-caking agents and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons why I still grind my salt. You know, I've had a lot of people complain about, why are you still grinding that salt when I'm like, well, because I don't want it to cake. If it is like even Redmond's fine salt, if I buy a 25-pound bag of that, it doesn't last a whole year without getting caked up. But, you know, I'll just get it coarse, or even better for cooking is kosher salt. Just using kosher salt on your meat, especially if you're going to let it sit in your refrigerator overnight or for an hour or something like that, because then it really absorbs and soaks up into the meat. Another thing, while we're on the topic of salt and prepping meat, when I cook on the Schwank grill, I learned something that I'd like to be able to share people, because at 1500 degrees, you're going to burn that salt, and the salt is bringing the moisture to the surface. When you're trying to cook at high heat for short temperature, for short amount of time, you don't want moisture. You want to pat that steak dry. You don't want to have any salt on it. You cook it just straight like it is, and then it's going to come out the best. And then you can use something like Maldon salt, which is fantastic for sprinkling on top. I still use Redmond salt almost exclusively, but I love Maldon salt as well, so no problems there. Caprice has a question. I guess she missed our last couple of live streams. Do you still have your own chickens?
No, ma'am.
Unfortunately, a coyote got into our chicken coop and got the last 3 that we had, and it's been quite heartbreaking. I know I've talked about this before, because I loved those. I called them my ladies. Every time I came out to get them in the morning and get some eggs, I said, "Hello, ladies," and they would follow me around the yard. I mean, they were more like pets than my dogs are sometimes. They were just so adorable. I've had some chickens that were horrible, though, man. They act like raptors on Jurassic Park. So you can get all different types of chickens. Our plan is to do it again, but we've got to fortify our chicken coop a little better before we're ready to do that. And
we had it fortified, but certain things happened and we had to move some stuff, and it was just...
Well, I used tree logs that I had left over from pine trees that I had cut down, and they had been there for a couple of years, and they were starting to get termites. Now the chickens didn't mind eating the termites.
Yeah, the chickens ate them.
But the other thing is that eventually those termites are going to bloom and fly out. So I got rid of the wood, but I didn't replace it because I don't know, I just didn't realize it was going to be a problem, and that allowed the coyote to get under the fence. So even more heartbreaking is that I feel like it was my fault, that I took away their barrier. But the next time, I'm hoping to be able to use cinder blocks and chicken wire along the edges of the bottom the next time we do that. But I would love to get a new brood of chickens as soon as I can, because I love having fresh eggs. I mean, literally fresh that morning eggs.
Yes.
It's tough to beat.
Yep. And they're your pets, and you enjoy them, and you go outside and you enjoy them, and they get bugs in your yard. I mean, we'd let them out for 5 hours a day. They were free range chickens. They went in at night. They came out in the morning. We made sure they had extra fresh water, and we give them a little bit of mealworms to start scratching, but they cleaned up our yard. How many ticks did we have for 2 years?
None.
Maybe 1 or 2?
Hardly ever.
This year we've had
a tick infestation, it seems like, since the chickens have been gone.
Yeah. They were cleaning up our yard. They're wonderful creatures, wonderful animals.
It doesn't help that there's a lot of folks in the neighborhood who are cutting down a lot of trees.
Next to us.
There's a lot of people moving into this area.
They're just chopping down woods left and right.
It's causing animals to be displaced, and then they're looking for new places to be, and the bugs are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great having chickens for that. I'd love to have another brood of chickens. I don't think we ever ate any of our hens. The only time we ever lost a hen was, a hen died was because the predator got to it. Roosters, on the other hand, wound up in the pot. Especially when they would chase the kids or my wife around the yard, or even me. It'd be like, that's it for you, buddy.
Into the boiling
Because they got those claws they want to stick out at you and show you who's boss. I'm like, I'll show you who's boss. We get those feathers off and get you cooking.
It's tough too. Chicken, free range chicken, when you eat it, it's not like chicken from the store. It's really chewy. It's like wet jerky. Do you remember that? Eating chicken? We ate a couple of our chickens.
Oh yeah, back then. This was before I started carnivore.
Yeah, we ate a couple of them because we're like, well, we want to learn how to prep a chicken for a meal if we ever had to, just to learn, old ways.
It wasn't like that hormone pumped poor chickens that sit in boxes and cages or in these huge warehouses where they keep them, where they never move around. Our chickens ran around and chased things and chased each other and did horrible things to each other and all kind of stuff. But it's a very different experience when you eat a naturally raised chicken as opposed to some of the stuff you get in the store.
There you go. There's one for you.
Jonah's got a question. Thank you, honey. Culturally, eating is a shared activity with a ton of history, no doubt. No getting around that. How have you shifted your social life and related to others in non-food-based activities? Well, I know for me, for the most part, is one of the things that I never thought I would be able to do is fast. The idea of fasting for 24 hours was just not even in the realm of thinking before this. And the idea of going without 3 meals a day, heck, I was doing 3 meals a day plus snacks before this. So, I mean, it was a common thing just to have whatever was there. But now, because when I eat meat, I'm satiated for so much longer. There's some days like today, I've only had about a pound of New York strip steak, and I'm not hungry at all. So I may not eat again the rest of the day. I still got a little bit left in the fridge. If I get a little hungry later, I may have it, but it's getting late, so I may not. But it's a big change. When it comes to going to an event, thankfully my family is understanding of the situation, of how big of the change. They can see the change that it's made in me, and I'm not there to push anything on them. I'm hoping by example I can lead them into anything so if they have questions. But
oh, he talked about it for 2 straight years.
I talked about it, but I mean, it was usually because somebody would say something like, I'm sorry, I'm eating this in front of you. I'm like, don't be sorry. I'm doing this for, and then it would start, the preaching would come out sometimes, but I didn't really try to want to push it on them or make them feel uncomfortable. So I would bring my own air fryer. I'd bring my own steak and, make it there. And if it was I get a lot of people that talk about the smell in the house. I personally, I love the smell of meat cooking in the house, but maybe my brother-in-law didn't like that, so I'd set out on the back porch and cook it. Didn't mind doing that. Didn't hurt anything. I was able to get my food. He's able to get his food. We had a great time together. It takes a little bit of preparation and thinking ahead, but it can be done. It can be done. It's a little tougher when it's for longer extended stays and
Well,
maybe holidays, but
like social, so my group of us got together and went out to eat not that long ago from Taekwondo, and I was able to get something on the menu that was meat, and I didn't have to get the sides. No, wait, I take it back. I did do that. I ordered the meal. I can't remember what it was. It could have been chicken, or it could have been, I don't think it was steak, but it came with two sides. So I shared it with my friend who does eat that. I said, well, if you'll eat that, I just want this. And I forgot what she got. I had some of hers. So it actually worked out good. It was cheaper for both of us to do that instead of just me ordering, I think, a la carte. I think it was. I think that was at like Texas Roadhouse. I can't remember what it is I got, but we shared a meal. She got something, I got a meal, and then she had the sides, and then I had it. So, still go out, still hang out with your friends. Just order what you can order. That's what I did. So nobody said anything to me. They just asked me about it. How's it going? Do you like it? You getting bored of food? That's what I hear a lot. Oh, I get so bored eating the same thing over and over. I don't get bored of feeling great. I don't get bored of having endurance and energy at 41 years old.
I don't get bored of wearing size 32 pants that I never wore. I think it was probably in 7th grade the last time I wore size 32 pants.
Yeah. So. And as a matter of fact, I'm not bored with eggs at all. My love for eggs has increased. My love for eggs has done the opposite. I am so thankful and feel so blessed to be able to have scrambled eggs and butter. It's amazing. Like I thought too, you naturally think, I'm going to get bored of eating steak. I'm going to get bored of eating eggs and plain butter. I'm going to get bored of having bacon. I think it's weird how your body does the opposite. Once you start having it every day and your body's feeling nourished by it, your body starts to crave what's feeding it, what it needs.
And it's a habit change too. Habits drive us. Our habits are really kind of what make us what we are. And I know you and I both had a lot of bad habits before, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there with habits. They'll admit that they're not healthy for them. When you change your habits to things that make you stronger, make you better, you do better. And it becomes something that you'd like to do rather than just something that you have to do. I don't feel like it's something that I have to do. It's definitely something that I like to do. I love every chance I get to eat a steak. And speaking of steak, we eat a little bit more burger lately because the price has been rough. And yes, I do eat burger. I just don't make as many videos about them. But for those of you who have been asking for more, I'll be glad to make more. And it's mostly the same air fryer. So that's one of the reasons why I do a lot more carnivore news type of stuff and things like that, because you've seen me cook steak and burger in the air fryer so many times, or using my crock pot, that I know it seems like it's repetitive, but at the same time, I get so many of the same questions. I'll be glad to make more of those videos too, so that people can see what we're eating. Now, Welsh Carnivore had a question. Have you ever done a sardine or mackerel fast? Going to do this until Monday to give me a boost. I have not, partially because, one, I've always hated fish, and two, I found out I was allergic to it. Now, I've gotten rid of a lot of allergies. I used to not be able to have a cat in the house, so I mean, that's a big change. So maybe I'm not allergic to fish anymore, but I'm still not a fan. So I'm not really hot to try that. And but I've heard like Dr. Boz is really big on sardine fasts and things like that. And if it's working for you, that's what I say you should do. Give it a try. If it works for you, then that's a good thing to do. There's nothing wrong with them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. Have you ever tried anything like that? I know you're not a big sardine eater or anything like that.
We used to love them. Luke and I, my oldest.
Oh, yeah?
We used to love we used to like the mustard ones. We get a can of mustard sardines, some saltine crackers, and pickles, and we make a tray of it, and then we'd enjoy that. But I've never heard of a sardine fast. I will have to look into it.
As far as condiments go, I know a lot of carnivores still use a little bit of mustard. It's definitely better than the garbage soy that's in the mayonnaise and all the sugar and nightshade that's in tomatoes. So, of all the things you could eat, it's probably not the worst.
Don't forget, I have a package, I think.
Oh yeah, we don't want to miss that in the next few minutes.
I want to open it.
We should have gone back and looked. I can't remember who. Hopefully they couldn't have sent their name in there. We'll have to go back and look at last week's live stream and see in the chat who sent this. But somebody said Katie had a package waiting at the post office box, so we went and got it, and we figured we'd save it for today. So I'll pop a hole in it for you, honey, so you can get it started.
I said I would grab the scissors.
I know you did, but you know how I am.
You just want to use your nails?
You got to be smarty pants. There you go.
Okay, awesome. I'm waiting. I'm so excited.
Oh, I remember
this?
It was somebody talking about how they were truck driving for a living. I'm betting that's what it is.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
Well, show them what it is.
Well, I want to read it first. An electric lunchbox. We were talking about this, and I said that would be so awesome to have one for when I go to Taekwondo, so that way I wouldn't get starving. And here I'm talking about how I can handle not eating. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. So what is this? What is this? Is this what
That's
it goes in?
What it goes in, yeah.
Okay.
Carrying case for your electric lunchbox.
Let me see this.
Man, I wish I could just bring up the chat from last week, but it's the kind of thing I'd have to scroll through the whole video to watch it and find it.
So I have a little, this is so neat. So I have a little Tupperware. Hey, I could fit an egg on that. I have a spoon.
The fact that you can keep some meat.
Look at that adorable little spoon. How cute.
Oh, and it even works in the car. It comes with a lighter adapter.
That's what, yes. I remember someone saying that. Look at that on the metaphor. It's so cool. Look at that. And then I got the car adapter, and then I have outlet adapter, and then, you know what it reminds me of? A little miniature crock pot. That's what it looks like. Oh my gosh, this is so adorable.
And it's got a stainless steel interior.
So this is the inside, and then this is the little...
Or tin or aluminum, I'm not sure.
Outer bin, and it goes in here. And look at that. And then it comes with the lid, and there's a place right here. This is so awesome. To hold the silverware. And it's got a vent on it, a little carrying handle. And then it comes with its own thermal bag to put it into. This is so awesome.
I feel so bad that I didn't look up the name beforehand. I should have watched that whole video.
I'll help you find it
today, but
I'll help you find it.
And we'll put a comment in the description of this, not the description, but in the comments after this video, thanking you so much for your kindness. I mean,
this is awesome.
You don't have to send anything, but we are so thankful for that grace.
This is going to be used.
It just shows how this community sticks together and does things like that. That's just wonderful.
Oh, this is going to be used like every day. This is look at how cute these are. Look at how cute they are.
You're absolutely right, Nancy. See, it attracts all kinds. I've just noticed lately I've had a string of negativity because I'm bringing in more people that are not in the carnivore community, because that's honestly, I want to break through those barriers of people who haven't even heard about it. And a lot of times you run into folks who are just absolutely opposed to it for whatever ideological reasons or religious reasons or something like that. And it gets to be kind of crazy, but yes, thank you for understanding. Let's see here.
It's a dishes box. It's a dishes box. So once you're done, I guess you can place them in here. So it says dishes box. Dishes box cover.
Dishes box? I mean, it's not a very big dish.
Let me see. Well, you wouldn't want to put it in there. I guess it's for afterwards. Let me see.
I agree with this that Papa Carnivore said about not having any snacks between meals. A lot of times I use the carnivore bar, for instance, as a replacement meal when I just don't feel like, if it's late at night and it feels like it's too late to cook a whole steak or something like that, because it's got plenty of protein, it's got plenty of fat, and it's just meat, water, and Redmond salt. So it's meat, fat, and Redmond salt. So it's wonderful. Sometimes I'll take a little bit of Redmond smoked salt, just a couple of finely ground turns from my salt shaker, my salt grinder, and add that to the standard salted carnivore bar. Oh, it's a game changer. I tried to get them to add that as a flavor as opposed to all the honey and other options that they have. But hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But I guess the market dynamics make it difficult to make such a switch like that. But I'd love to see them do that. Go to a smoked salt option on those carnivore bars. But those are more for meal replacement. They're not for a snack. They're not for something just to. But there have been times I know I've used carnivore crisps as an occasional snack, or maybe when I was at work and I couldn't get a meal, I would use them. But I guess it wasn't really snacking then, was it? I was replacing a meal.
This is so wonderful. Thank you so much. I didn't realize it, but I think this is going to be a big game changer for me and definitely help me when I'm out and about on those when I leave and I have those long days. This is going to be awesome. I could fit a lot of scrambled eggs in there.
Leave them kids alone, says she hasn't heard the term food forest. She would need to check into that.
Yeah, it's where you plant anything. So you use your property, what you live on, to plant trees, bushes, shrubs, plants, herbs, vegetables. You use your property as its own food forest. Instead of zoning off a little area for a garden, you don't really need to. You use your property. I have trees in my front yard that you can eat the roots from them if you had to, but they also help as a bug repellent. So I have a cocoa plum tree. I had two, one died, but I have one that's still going strong. And in 2 years, it will produce these little tiny plums. They grow great here in Florida, and it's a source of vitamin C that can grow really well here in South Florida. I have stuff all over my yard. I have mulberry trees I just planted 2 years ago. Mulberries are so good. I usually give them to the kids. This last year, we didn't have a lot yet because it's only a 3-year-old tree. But in 2 years it will get crazy. So the birds usually eat the top part. I leave it for the birds. But whatever the kids can pick, you can take down and you make these like a mulberry jam. It's fun. I have lemongrass growing all over my yard. It grows so well in Florida and it looks really pretty and it smells nice. And I have a lot of other stuff, but I have aloe growing all over the place. Mint. I love growing mint. It smells great. I have a butterfly bee garden down on this end, so as not to disturb the bees when they need to eat. And I have several flowers growing in there right now. But I think you can. I forgot which one it is. It has a dual purpose for like repellent or tea, some type of herbs. I don't know. I have to see what survived. But I have what else do I have growing back there? I had strawberries back there, and they actually did surprisingly well. I think they're dead now, but they did good.
Yeah, we didn't get any rain in April. It just about killed our lawn and everything else.
Conifer grows really well here. So
Healing Pursuit asks for any tips that can help along a carnivore journey. I'm pretty sure I'm doing something wrong. 180 days and 30 days of those were lion diet, feeling very fatigued. My severe OCD intrusive thoughts are something. I will say that the fatigue issue is almost always related to a lack of salt. And I mean good quality salt.
And you need
fat.
And
then also fat, not getting enough fat. But a lot of people, for me, salt was a huge key. Now, this is not true for everybody. Some people don't do salt at all. I know Dr. Chafee doesn't do added salt, so he's able to do it fine. But for a lot of people I found, the salt makes a big difference because when you're not consuming sugar, your kidneys are just letting all of those electrolytes go. So when you go pee, you're peeing out those electrolytes, so you don't have as many, and that's why you would need to consume more. And it definitely makes a difference in my energy level.
High fat. You need like one good. Mine was fat specifically and salt. Mine was both.
Yeah.
So when I was eating a lot of eggs some days and maybe have like a burger patty or 2 burger patties, I was feeling fatigued. And Dante's like, you're not putting enough salt. And I said, well, I put 2 turns, of our salt grinder. I say I put 2 turns. He's like, you're not getting enough. You need the Soleil water. So he started prepping my water for 3 days. And then when I would come home, he would feed me like fat from the steak that he had. Because he'd say, I'm full, you eat the fat. And within 3 days, I started feeling better. Just from Soleil water and adding fat to my, now that's me. Once again, this is specific to me. But if that's something that you need to increase, you could try that it might make you feel better right away.
And you kind of had to get over that texture issue with fat too, didn't you?
I like it crispy. I like really crispy fat. I want to, like, once Dante has it, comes out and he starts eating it, I want to throw it back in the air fryer and get the outside really crunchy. I just love crispy fat.
As a matter of fact, that's a good way to make a snack, is to take frozen pieces of cut suet and cut them in even smaller pieces. Don't use too many in an air fryer because it will smoke up. But if you do just enough, it's like having little popcorn, but it's popcorn balls of fat, and they're delicious. Call them Fat Krispies. Awesome. Adding to that, this question with the salt, do you need to add iodine somehow? I think the iodized salt doesn't make that much of a difference. Iodized salt is only about 10% bioavailable anyway, the iodine that's in there. Almost everybody is iodine deficient. Now, there are some people with things like Hashimoto's who have to be careful about adding iodine, so you definitely want to consult your doctor about any issues with iodine that you may have as a health history. But I did a couple of different tests to see my iodine levels. I did a skin patch test. Some people argue that that's not a very good test. So I also did a urine loading test where you have to go through filling up a bucket of stuff over a 24-hour period, and you're taking a large amount of iodine, and it shows how fast that you're releasing it from your body, so that it kind of shows, is your body retaining it or is your body letting it go? If your body's retaining it, it's because you need it and you're missing it. So I get my iodine from, I used tablets for a long time and I still have them, but I've been using Lugol's drops lately, even though it's a little harder to consume because it's so bitter. And you can mix it with water, but I usually just take it straight right in the mouth, and that does me great. So iodine is something that I always recommend. No matter what diet you're on, you're probably not getting enough iodine.
What is that one right there? I'm so sorry. I just noticed the functioning is severely hindered, and I was really... Yeah.
I see. He was continuing his previous thing. But we've addressed that question. So, and also we're at the 1 hour period. So I'm going to just double check and see if we didn't miss any questions in here. Didn't have any super chats. So I'm scrolling through to see if there's any down here.
Acme chicken coop.
Wow, there's a lot of... We get a little behind on these questions. Sorry about that. Not questions, but seeing all the comments, it's hard to keep up with it.
Yes.
Here's a question. Do you have to do anything to tighten your skin? Someone I know thinks he should limit losing weight. I think he just needs to dive in. Well, I've noticed that my skin has tightened up over time. Now, I did do a period of fasting where I was doing 3 days fasting and 4 days of eating, only meat, not eating whatever. But it was 4 days of my normal diet and then 3 days of fasting, and I did that for 8 weeks. I noticed a small difference, but I don't know that it wasn't as big of a difference as I thought it would be. I was hoping it would be better. But I do understand that fasting is good for autophagy and being able to eat that stuff that's deep in the skin that helps to bring it back together. I also understand that you can rub vitamin C or something like that on your skin that a lot of women use after pregnancy. to help with the skin stretchiness and stuff like that. And then of course, you know, you've got folks like Limitless Lindy, who's recently, I don't think she's gone through it or she's going through it soon, where she's getting the operation. But I mean, she's lost so much weight. I mean, hundreds of pounds. I don't even know the amount. I don't want to guess, but it was like more than two people
Yeah.
worth of weight. And God, she's a whole different person. So sometimes you may have to make choices. You may have to make choices. You know, it's going to be different for each person. I was 100 pounds overweight. I still got a little bit of stuff that hangs around that doesn't want to go away, but you know, I don't mind. I don't mind it at all. I'm thankful not to be carrying around that extra 100 pounds anymore. Kevin asked me if I'm going to meat stock. Not this year. I didn't get in touch with Scott ahead of time, and I'm really not able to do the financial side of it right this moment. So we're planning on doing it next year.
They're bothering me again. Sorry. I am so thankful for this lunchbox. This is so wonderful. I'm gonna tell you guys what, I've had a really crappy week. I've just had the roughest week.
We understand what it's like to go through life where just stuff keeps dumping on you.
I'm just frustrated. I want to pull my hair out and scream at the sky. I'm just so, you know, where you just kind of feel like burnt out and fed up with a lot of stuff. This little gift has made me feel so much better. Just for the thoughtfulness of one person, us talking about it, sending to me.
Katie really does a lot of things to help a lot of people,
so nice.
and she's always putting herself out there. And so many times it starts to feel like she's getting walked over and
It's
used.
such a blessing.
And being,
thank you.
So that is a tremendous blessing.
It will be used and it will be loved.
Somebody asked, Nancy C asked, how about some citrus trees, Katie? I know you've got something growing out there.
Yes, I do. I have 3 that need to be planted, and I have 2 planted. One's not looking too happy, but the other one's beautiful, gorgeous. I've had it in the ground for 2 years now. It's doing great. No fruit off it yet, but I think it's a grapefruit. My lemon tree has, though. So, yeah, I like to grow things. I might not enjoy any things that grown on them, but I still want to grow them. I love watching God's creation.
And her mother and her sister and other family members still eat that stuff. So, you know,
I'd have
at least
some
we can give
water.
them the fresh things to have.
You know, if I had a lemon come off my tree, I would enjoy some lemon water. Absolutely. I don't see anything wrong with that. I wouldn't put sugar in it, but I'd enjoy some of it.
Aunt B asked about Sole water recipe. Basically, I take a jar. I have a whole video talking about it. The only thing I've changed from that video is the quantity of Sole water that I use. I used to use 1.5 ounces to a liter. Now I use about a little under 1 ounce for this 800 milliliter bottle whenever I add it. But I use Redmond salt. I get the big, large salt crystals, but if I don't have any of those, I'll take the coarse salt and fill up this much at the bottom of the container, and then fill it with water, let it sit for 24 hours, and it's going to soak up into the water. It'll only soak to a certain point, and then it won't be able to saturate any further. And you'll know when you're done because you'll still have salt crystals at the bottom. If you've used up all your salt crystals, you might want to add a little bit more so you can make sure it's fully saturated. But it's pretty simple. I just recommend using a glass jar and a plastic lid, not a tin lid or a metal lid or something like that, because it'll rust the lids, and the plastic can leach into the salt and stuff like that. Plastic lid isn't touching the salt water, so it's no big deal. But I do have a video on Sole water. If you do a search on YouTube with Ferrigno Freedom and Sole water, S-O-L-E water, you'll be able to find that.
You're right, Nancy. A little lemon won't ruin Carnivore Lifestyle. I believe it was Coach Lisa I was speaking to. And I think part of her program, there's actually a period, I think it's like a day or 2, where she requires you to take it first thing in the morning, no coffee. So the lemon water, that is.
That's great to hear about Lindy, Steak Mom. Thanks for letting me know. It's been hard to keep up with what everybody's doing out there. All right, let's see. One more question. Last one. Leave Them Kids Alone says, do you have a favorite air fryer? I want one that is all stainless. I haven't found one that's all stainless that I like. Most of the ones that are all stainless are the oven style, and it's just it's messier for cooking, and it causes a mess on the inside, and it's harder for me to get clean. So I haven't really cared for those. And I understand the desire for staying away from things that we're all being told are toxic, and that ceramic is better than PTFE and all of these things. But I think ultimately most of these products have some negative effect, regardless of what it is. There's no perfect solution. There are better solutions. There are good solutions. Stainless steel would be the great way to go for cookware, and obviously cast iron is great. But every time I've tried to cook on cast iron, it's just about a forest fire in the house. So it's tough on me. And because most of the time I'm in such a hurry to get something started while I'm still working and then be able to come and get it ready, I'm so thankful for the Dreo Chef Maker because it just makes my life possible. Now, when it comes to stainless steel, I do love my Schwenk grill. And I've talked about that before on several other channels. I've got links in the description that if I don't have one there now, I'll put one there for anybody who saw this. The Schwenk grill is all stainless steel. It's made in America. It's a propane-based infrared grill, and it'll cook a steak in just a few minutes, and it'll come out restaurant quality. It's really fantastic. So it's a bit more expensive than an air fryer. I don't remember what the cost is off the top of my head, but they're over $1,000, so it's a lot more than your typical air fryer. But if you're looking for something American made, stainless steel, that's great for cooking steaks, you can't go wrong with that Schwenk grill. But when it comes to air fryers, I haven't seen one that's absolutely perfect. I did see a new product out there that I'm interested in looking into, but I don't know much about it yet. It almost looks like a submarine door opening, like a round cooker of some kind, and it looks like it's stainless steel on the outside and stainless on the inside. So as soon as I know more about that product, I'll try to come and let you know. But since we've got all the questions out of the way, and man, it just felt so good to be with you guys today. We didn't mind going over an extra 12 minutes because, and especially the gift, just pick Katie's day up. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, it
We're going to be
did.
sure to thank you in the comments. Please check for that. And I'm so sorry that I didn't watch that video again to have that ready beforehand. So anyway, thanks for joining us once again, and we will see you guys hopefully next week. Same time.
Ciao.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?